YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Mighty Morphin issue 16. And this was effectively, I believe, Mighty Morphin's finale for the Eltarian War arc. I think the Power Rangers one will be a little bit more of an epilogue and then we'll be getting into something different. But it definitely felt finale-y, to use a very technical term. And I thought it was a very overall enjoyable and solid issue. Really a little bit predictable, maybe not predictable, but just kind of generic in some ways. Like, I don't feel there was a lot of surprises, but that doesn't mean it wasn't enjoyable. We kick off the beginning of the issue, like always, with a flashback, and this is just sort of used to reinforce the conflict between Zedd, Zartus, and Zordon, kind of highlighting the first time Zordon was hired as a Guardian. We find out that Zartus wanted to be the Guardian, but it was Zordon that was hired, and it kind of set up his anger at both Zordon for being hired as assistant to the regional manager, and then his anger at Zedd, or Zofram, for hiring him in the first place. And that sort of sets up the conflict through the episode. I'm so used to reviewing episodes, but throughout the issue, you know, as they're fighting, at one point Zordon gets struck down, and then he becomes more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Just kidding. Zordon's no Jedi. Because he hasn't said anything stupid about attachments. So then you have Zedd and Zartus just fighting, and then like the conclusion of this fight is actually this really cool scene that's, for lack of a better word, very cinematic, where it's kind of has the voiceover or the read over of that story that was told a long time ago in the early issues about the origins of the Zeo Crystal like a legend, and it kind of has the voiceover of that sort of echoing what Zordon's doing now when he picks up the crystal and stabs Zartus and defeats him. I thought it was a really cool ending, kind of, I mean, it's like generic in a way, like not really a whole lot of surprises, a lot of it just went the way I thought, but in terms of like the actual ending blow for Zartus, I thought it was, again, for lack of a better word, cinematic. There's been a couple moments like that in comics, I don't know what you call that, where the way it's drawn, with the panels and the art and then like a voiceover or dialogue, it's like when you're reading it, it almost feels like you're watching it, and that's what I got from this, and I thought that was very satisfying. And Zordon is left heavily injured at the end with Zedd standing over him. That's like literally the last panel. It sort of leaves you to know, or leaves you to wonder what's going to happen to him. Like, is Zedd going to save him? I get a feeling Zedd will probably save him, but it'll kind of be like for his own purposes. But it was definitely an interesting place to end on, and even though it wasn't surprising or anything, I thought it was a very solid conclusion to that little arc between the three of them. And then the rest of the issue is pretty much kind of a anticlimactic end of the Imperials, because if you remember last issue, the vampires showed up, and surprise, surprise, it's Drakkon leading them. And there's like a split second where he's like, oh, of course I'm here to help you, Imperials. And then he's like, not. And I don't know, I never believed for a second that he was there to help the Imperials, because I kind of assumed that was going to happen, that he was going to attack the Imperials with the vampires, and that helps provide a distraction, in addition to the Rangers distracting them, so that the Blue Imperial can destroy, or the Blue Emissary can destroy the last Imperial. And yeah, it was just kind of anticlimactic. Like, it was fine. I didn't think it was bad or anything. I don't know where else they could have gone, I guess. In terms of the Drakkon stuff, I feel like I have mixed thoughts. Like, I feel like his whole arc, if this is the end of it for now, was a little bit underwhelming. Like, I knew he would show up for something like this, but him just showing up and being like, I'm on the side of evil, JK, I'm helping, but I'm also still a douche. And then he just left. It just felt kind of anticlimactic. We still do have an issue of Power Rangers left for this arc, so there's a very good chance they could address that, especially since his character storyline was much more a part of that. But I just feel there was a lot of build-up to his character and some of the conversations he had with Jason and Trini that I hope get paid off. Although I will say that in terms of leaving him off like this with just leaving and the way his story played out, I'm happy with it in the sense that I didn't want him to be redeemed. I've said numerous times that Drakkon's redemption story has already been told. It's Tommy. And I didn't want him to be mustache-twirling evil. And I think the way he left, kind of being a bit of a help but still being basically a gray area villain, is exactly where I want him to be. You know, regardless of whether we touch on him in Power Rangers 16, I hope he doesn't come back too soon. Like, my number one wish would be, I love the character of Drakkon, but I think we're overusing him a bit. So I think my number one wish would be to take him out for a while. Not like kill him, but you know what I mean. Like, to take him out of the comic for a while. Number two would just have him being a little more reoccurring. Like, he might show up every now and then if the story calls for it, but don't make him a regular character. I think kind of like with the team-ups and all that stuff, you know, too much of a good thing can kind of run it into the ground. But I'll just say, again, I'm happy with the way he ended up so far because I didn't want him redeemed or 100% mustache-twirling evil. And then, you know, you just kind of end off with the Rangers having victory and wondering what happened to Zordon. And that's kind of where we end off. So I get a feeling Power Rangers 16 will be very epilogue-y. I still thought this was a solid issue. I would give it a 4. I thought it was solid and enjoyable, and I've said the word solid a lot. I don't know what I'm kind of waiting for, but I just was kind of hoping for some more surprises and stuff that made me think. And it was all very kind of just going the way you might think. It wasn't necessarily as impactful as I thought, but it was still solid and entertaining. Still miles better than a lot of what the show's been giving us, and a lot of what Sendai's been giving us, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to seeing how Power Rangers side of things wraps things up, and I'm also looking forward to seeing what the next arc is. There's some little bit of tidbits, like teasers, if you read the leaked, it's not really leaked, descriptions for the upcoming volumes on Amazon. It kind of gives you a hint, but I'm definitely curious to see where we go from here. But what did you guys think of the Mighty Morphin finale of the Eltarian arc? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.